Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. So somebody had a request of how to repot a caladium. Unfortunately, I have repotted all of them because I do not wait. The moment I get my caladiums, I tend to repot them because if you're going to keep them out of the soil for a very long time, the leaves start to get droopy. So by the time I could finish the unboxing video, it's already very dark and I didn't want to wait for the next day. So I had already repotted all of them. But I did have one of the caladium that was growing in my pot and that I wanted to repot. So I thought I will show you the process of repotting. Now this caladium, I had not purchased it recently. This is, I would say, a voluntary caladium that was growing in my pot. You can see a lot of sellers will sell only the tuber. This is the tuber. It looks like a small potato kind of a thing, but very hard. So this is the tuber. Once you put the tuber into the soil, the roots will start first and then there will be shoots coming out from that tuber and then the leaves with the petiole. So this is the petiole and then there are leaves coming up. So the tuber has to be inside the soil. If you tend to see eyes, eyes are basically like how you have your potatoes. If you tend to keep your potatoes, you tend to see those small little green eyes that tend to come up. That is the same thing that comes up on our caladiums as well. So if you see any eyes, tend to keep that eye in the upper portion and keep that eye facing upwards and then the remaining portion inside the soil. Don't push the tuber too deep into the soil. Probably around 2 or 3 inches is more than enough. Not 3 inches, 2 inches is more than enough. And then the petiole will start to come up. The shoots will start to come up. So this is how the tuber tends to look like. So as I said, this was growing. Probably I had purchased it 2 or 3 years back. Today it has come back again. This was a very late one to come. Ideally, most of my caladiums have already come out. But this one was the latest one that had come out. So I thought I will repot this one. So here is the soil mix. This is the most important thing. Now guys, there is no exact proportion. This all depends upon your environment and climate. If you are from a very dry environment, then increase the amount of coco peat. I belong to a very dry environment, so I use a little bit more coco peat. But if you are from a coastal area or if you are from a place wherein the humidity is very high, then you can reduce the amount of coco peat and increase the amount of garden soil. So this is regular garden soil, this is sand, and this is perlite. Now perlite is optional. I had perlite, so I'm using it. If you do not have perlite, it's absolutely fine. You can use coco peat, sand and garden soil because we need to make the soil mix well draining, porous, loose. They do not like to be sitting in a very compact soil. Otherwise that will damage the tuber. So the soil has to be very loose. Using coco peat, garden soil and sand will give you that loose, porous, well-draining soil mix. Perlite is an addition. If you don't have, it's absolutely okay. It's optional. So now let's mix everything together. So now we will give a quick mix. Now if you see, I haven't added any fertilizers because we are just planting it. We do not use fertilizers right away. We have to let the plant settle in the soil mix. And after that, we can either go with compost, vermicompost. You can add a little bit of vermicompost if you want, probably half a cup of vermicompost. That's going to be okay. But don't add too much of it because we want the plant to first adjust in the new soil mix. A lot of times the plant tends to go into a shock, so we do not want to further stress it by giving too much of fertilizers. It's not necessary. Any which ways, caladiums are not very heavy feeders. They tend to grow in poor nutrient soil as well. As you might have seen in one of my video, they were growing in wild. They tend to grow pretty much anywhere, especially the common varieties. The hybrids are a little bit difficult. Now over here I have taken a 5-inch pot. I've already used a green shade cloth in order to cover the drain hole. This tends to work out really well than the rocks, because a lot of times when we tend to use rocks, the pot becomes a little bit heavy. So this tends to work out really well. So we will fill the soil halfway through and then we will plant the tuber in this soil. And now we will just put the tuber in, cover it with some more soil. That's about it. Probably once the plant starts to grow, I will replenish it with some more soil. As of now, this is more than enough because it tends to grow vertically. So when it starts to grow, we can add in some more soil from beneath. Right now, we will leave it as it is. Let's press the soil a little bit. And you can see it's pretty simple to pot your caladium. We are done with the potting. Now all we are going to do is just leave it aside. Now never expose your caladiums to direct sunlight. You can keep it under the green shade cloth, or you can offer indirect bright light. Probably early morning before 10 a.m. if there is direct sunlight, mild direct sunlight, you can offer that. But please do not offer direct afternoon sunlight. That will definitely damage your caladium. That will burn your caladium. So ensure you're giving a good amount of indirect bright light. Remember, caladiums are not indoor plants. They are meant to be grown outdoor. Please do not keep caladiums in your bedroom or in the living room. They need a good amount of indirect bright light, a good intensity in the indirect bright light. You cannot keep them indoor. They will not perform really well. Most of my plants that I had planted yesterday are doing quite well. You can see this one is my favorite one. It's doing absolutely fantastic. I've already done the watering. Now I'll quickly water this pot a little bit. We will just moisten the soil. Ideally, for most of the plants, we leave it for a day because caladiums are a little bit thirsty plants. They need a slight amount of moisture in the soil. So we have to ensure that the soil is slightly evenly moist at all given point of time. They cannot handle underwatering. The leaves will start to wilt. So we have to be extremely careful. So now that we are done with the watering, I'm going to move it to indirect bright light where it will start to grow. Within a couple of weeks itself, the shoots will appear. In fact, within a week, probably within, let's say 4 or 5 days, the new shoots will start to come. Caladiums are very rigorous growing plants. They grow very, very fast. They tend to put out shoots very fast. So that is a good part about caladiums. So I'm going to keep it in indirect bright light where there is a good amount of air circulation, and we will see when there is a good amount of growth. I will definitely make a shorts video so you can have a fair idea of how the caladium is doing. So that's all about it. As you can see, guys, it's pretty simple to repot or pot your caladiums. Just follow this basic soil mix, offer a good amount of indirect bright light with a good amount of air circulation, and the plant is going to do excellent. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.